Hey guys, it's Postbox Pat. Welcome back to the Season 5 Storyline video, and let's jump straight into this. First off, I want to start definitions. This is because a few people do get things confused in the Fortnite storyline. Not everyone might be on the same page, so let's get everyone on the same page really quickly. We've got nexus and the in-between. For those wondering what this is the area in between the 0 point. When the matter over the 0 point expands to an extreme level, we see this area become an area which we visit. This is the nexus, hence why the last season was called the Nexus War, because we had a battle in there with GALACTUS and all of the battle buses. The nexus is the in-between zone inside of the 0 point. We've seen it in a few other events, for example the unvaulting as well as the butterfly event, which you can see right here. So there's all your details on that. The next definition I've got as well, just to make this video a lot easier, is IO. So the IO troopers were introduced this season. These are elite commandos and their official name is Imagined Order. That is the group they're part of. This could be related to Jon Jones and we'll explore more of that in today's video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here, and also enter in code PostboxPat to the item shop to support this content further. Anyway, now you know them definitions, this will make this video 10 times easier to understand. Let's jump into it and go over the Fortnite Season 5 storyline.
They did it! We're still here!
Yeah, but the 0 point is exposed.
So I don't want to start off with confusing everyone, but first off, the pictures on the wall for some reason weren't in the same order that we saw in the Season 2 event. I don't know if this means we're in a different reality or realm. Maybe this is a different office in a different reality, but I'll leave that for the comment section. Anyway, what did Jonesy first say on the phone? Well, he's like, we did it. So technically we did defeat GALACTUS. He's right there. And then the next clip we hear is the 0 point is still exposed. So this is important because this doesn't want to be exposed. It needs to be contained. Otherwise, the matter goes insane and also attracts some clever scientists. The 7.
You have to go in.
Oh, come on. Last thing we need is another snapshot of me inside the loop.
No, the last thing we need is someone escaping the loop. You need to get in there and fix it.
Understood, ma'am. I'm on it.
And do not draw the attention of the 7, Jones.
So in the next part of the trailer, there's two really key points to take away. The first thing he says is the last thing we need is another snapshot of me inside of the loop. This is interesting because the way he says another snapshot means there's other Jonesies inside the loop. Then we hear the woman on the phone say they do not want people to escape the loop, confirming that we are inside of this loop being controlled by another realm. Are they good? Are they bad? We don't exactly know. And then the last thing we hear her say, but unfortunately Jonesy does miss it, is do not draw the attention of the 7. And unfortunately he lets go of the phone as she says that part. So it's quite clear that the 7 will return at some point. Anyway, let's continue on and watch the rest of the trailer.
Alright, I just need to stabilize the 0 point and reseal the bridge, but not let anyone escape. Easy, right?
So now you see Jonesy go into the room where they have their 0 point in their realm, wherever they're based, or in their office, wherever this is. So the first thing I noticed from this is it looks like it's being powered by the dark matter which Kevin gave off from his tears that dropped inside of the hole, which was a while ago now. This is early chapter 1 stuff. I'll put a little clip of it on screen. Now, what else happens in this scene? We also see Jonesy say all he needs to do is stabilize the 0 point and reseal the bridge and everything should be good, right? That is not as simple as it is. So,
okay, locate the best hunters across all realities.
Signatures triangulated and defined. Execute.
This better work.
this is the part in the trailer which probably most people overlook. Jonesy does say he needs to locate all of the best hunters. He has located all of the best hunters, because if you go over to Hunter's Haven, each house is actually themed around different hunters. I'll put a little clip of that on screen right now. You can see, for example, there is a Mandalorian theme house, there's Viking theme houses, and all sorts of different themed houses regarding other POIs on the map, because he's actually found these hunters to help him stabilize the 0 point, which is quite interesting. So next up, we see this massive beam of energy, which looks like Jonesy sends their energy in their world down this hole into this kind of 0 point area, which they've got contained, which obviously unstabilizes their 0 point, allowing Jonesy to travel through the loop, through the nexus, into another world. So that's what I think happens in this clip, and that's why we see Jonesy come into the loop inside of another place right now, and he's been sent in here. But I wonder, did it send another version of Jonesy, or did it just send the actual version which we saw in the trailer? I don't know, and that's why some of the characters are talking in this season, because they've come from outside the loop and stuff is starting to go wrong with the machines. A lot of stuff is going on. Now the Battle Pass trailer, which I'm about to play for you guys in a second, really does sum up what Jonesy's plan to do on the island is. It is all about getting ready for the next phase of preparation for actually stabilizing that 0 point. So just listen closely to what Jonesy says in the Battle Pass trailer. I know when the trailer first comes out, you're not really focusing on what Jonesy says, you're kind of looking at the skins and all the different stuff. Well, that's what I do anyway. I'm super excited for the season, so I'm looking for all the stuff on the screen. But listen to his words and his audio, because that really explains it. So check it out right now.
No one is escaping the loop. Not on my watch. I've been gathering the greatest hunters across all realities, and I started with the best. Cost a lot of credits to convince Mando, but this is the way. The plan? Pure chaos. And no one will sew it better than them. Menace, reality's greatest gladiator. The guy's never been defeated. Man Cake, a flapjack forged on a griddle of rage. And Mate, you know, just a shape-shifting barbarian warrior. As they explore the island, they'll have scores to settle and bounties to collect, all while we get ready for the next phase. And we're just getting started. So, what are you waiting for? The hunt is on.
So there you have it, Jonesy explaining his mission. I know this storyline's a little bit complicated, but it's really key to stay tuned right until the very end, guys, so you guys can get your head above everyone else in the game and understand that storyline and get on top of it all. It's really, really awesome and so crazy what's about to come down. So next, I'd just like to explain that the audio logs that we received a few hours before Season 5's release was basically Jonesy exploring each POI and how he met each kind of bounty hunter, should I say. But I'm not going to go over all the audio logs because there's not really much in them. So yeah, they're there if you want to listen to them on Fortnite's Twitter. Now, what else do we have for you guys? Well, I want to go back to Chapter 1, Season 1, the introduction of it. Do you guys remember this screen? I made a video on it back then, but it only got 66,000 views, so I'm guessing many of you probably didn't see it. But there was a secret text message screen as we loaded into the game. And thank you to my friend Humboldt, he actually managed to get the entire loading sequence for me in a screenshot, so we can kind of go over exactly what all this meant. So first off, this is really key because from what we can tell now, reading back over this, we can kind of predict that this was actually the Jonesy team, IO, running this. And why I say Jonesy's part of the IO team is because in the trailer, we see Jonesy with the IO people running through the office. So we assume they've come onto the map as well to help stabilize the 0 point to back up Jonesy. That's why the IO troops are there. So the first thing we see here is the containment field has stabilized. The bridge is intact. The 7 succeeded. Our manipulations averted disaster. Did you hear that bit there? Our manipulations averted disaster. It's like they caused the 7 to think that they did succeed. However, Jonesy's secret plan manipulated them and managed to gain access to the 0 point, so he owns the control of it, whereas the 7 might think that they contained control of it, but actually Jonesy has control of it. And that's why in the Season 5 trailer, we see the woman on the phone tell Jonesy not to alert the 7's attention because they think they won, but really the IO team of Jonesy, John Jones, took control of the 0 point. The 0 point is ours and the plan can continue. Recalculating loop shift, initiating sub-loop text transmission, redirecting received, surprising in the sheer volume of matter resolved around the bridge, extensive charting and analysis required. This basically explains how the amount of matter around the bridge is insane, but Jonesy and his IO team managed to resolve it, hence causing the Chapter 2 island to be born. So basically the recalculations from the IO team over at their base allowed the 7 to fail. That's why the black hole eventually ended, because the team at IO and Jonesy's office eventually managed to figure it out and managed to recalculate it and cause the Chapter 2 island to be born. So that's why, thanks to Jonesy, we got our Chapter 2 loop. or the island should I say, which is the loop by the way. The island is inside of the loop, so that's why we got that. Our best redacted D4 team has been scrambled and inserted. Obviously this is to protect against the 7 returning, because from the GALACTUS event we have evidence that there are places outside of the world of Fortnite. So we are on the island, which is on this world that we don't know the exact name of, inside of the loop. But inside of the loop there are also other planets on the outside. Confirmed in the GALACTUS event, as we went outside the world, you can see that we do see other planets and other realms out there. So the 7 have got to be out there somewhere. Are the 7 good or bad? I don't know. That's up for debate. I don't know which team you're on. Are you teams Jonesy or are you team the 7? Comment down below which team you guys are on if you've made it halfway through the video, because we've still got a lot more to go. Do not go anywhere, guys. Really important information coming up. And then it goes and says, we expect resistance and similar embedded agents. This is because the same world from chapter 1, the Fortnite Island, has just been rearranged. The matter has been entirely rearranged across the board. That's why we see locations like Tilted and other locations like Salty, Pleasant, all in the same location on their map as they were in the original chapter 1 map. Chapter 2 is still the same map. People calling it a different map, it's not. It's the same loop. We are stuck inside of this loop, but this time it's the rearranged version of it due to Jonesy and his IO team. Next, we see we've been as quiet as possible, but the gaze of others may now be turned towards 0. A whole new world awaits. The gaze of others may now be turned towards 0. Could be more of people becoming aware of what's going on with this rearrangement in this world, and maybe the silence breaking of characters inside of the loop. I don't know 100%, but the loop is all the same place. This is the loop that we're in. The Battle Royale world is the loop. This is the loop. Doesn't matter what chapter we're in, we're still on the same island. It's the 0 point which is controlling all of this, and that's why we're trying to break out. That's why Midas tried and broke out. Some people even refer Midas to being as possibly one of the 7. I don't know, and I personally wouldn't class him as one of the 7, but he's kind of like an outlier. He was there trying to break out but failed. The 7 also tried and braked out, but according to this text they failed. The IO team managed to manipulate them. Could this due to be them tampering with the tapes, confusing the visitor? And then again, the visitor is stuck inside the loop, so this guy isn't as clever technically as the people on the outside of the loop, which still makes it quite interesting overall. So we're going to break down the tapes a little bit for you guys. You guys should be able to understand these a little bit better when you hear them. And as always, I'm going to go into Jonesy and Lexa as well on the island currently. So much more in today's video. Do not go anywhere. Listen to these tapes and see if you can understand them. The key thing to note here when listening to these tapes is the terminology the visitor uses is a little bit different from the terminology the IO and Jonesy team. This is obviously because the team John Jones is on do contain and hold the 0 point to sustain its matter so nothing goes wrong in the loop which they are controlling, hence why the visitor might use a little bit of different terminology there and then, and I'll try and explain it for you guys as we go through these. So take a little listen to these and see if you can understand them now after I've broken all that down previously.
What the 7 of us are attempting is very risky. I suspect they are not the only ones watching, but it must be done or we lose the bridge forever. I speculate that no one calculated the formation of the island, that interdimensional matter collisions would resolve rather than push. Now that I witnessed it firsthand, it's obvious that pinching alone made it inevitable. When I hear this again, will it help me remember? Or once looped, will I be just as muted as the others? No matter, it seems the lengthy precautions worked. The galactic theorem was a success. You arrived outside the loop at the exact moment of expansion. This effectively paused the singularity, giving us time to create the devices needed to synchronize the junction. What I didn't factor was that the only way to trigger the device was from within the loop itself. Thus this hasty and primitive recording, and why now I find myself looped. Activate the beacon at precisely the moment this timer reaches nothing. The 0 point must be contained once more. If they are correct, it will be the end.
So the tapes make pretty much good sense in my opinion from them right there. However, there still are a few elements which make me a little bit confused, and I'll go over them really quickly. You arrived outside the loop at the exact moment of expansion. This is talking about things in the past because this is a loop. He's talking about his previous recordings of the tape and his previous attempts to contain the 0 point. However, we know from this time, maybe he didn't actually contain it, as we discussed previously in this video. We also see in the next thing here, this effectively paused the singularity. Now, for those wondering what the definition of singularity is, because I was a little bit confused by this. Singularity is actually an interesting one, and here's the definition coming in from Google itself. You can see here, technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible. So what he's saying here, the visitor, is that basically he actually caused the singularity to be paused. So the technology that Jonesy and the IO team are using was paused, and they couldn't see what the 7 was exactly doing in the world of Fortnite, hence why they're trying to get out of the loop. And then this would allow them, giving us time to create the devices needed to synchronize the junction. Now the junction, we're not too sure exactly what that is. I'm guessing the junction is the connection between the real world and the loop, the in-between section. Now, not the in-between is in the nexus, but maybe the junction is inside the nexus, because we've talked about the nexus at the start of the video, with the nexus being where obviously GALACTUS was and the butterfly event. Maybe the junction's inside the nexus, maybe the junction's somewhere else, but it gave them enough time to synchronize the junction. And then obviously this is what their plan was from this. They wanted to contain the 0 point once again. But obviously we know that the 0 point wasn't contained from the text that I just previously went over, which was from the start of Chapter 2, Season 1's starting screen. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So coming up next, we have Jonesy inside of Fortnite. So if you're wondering where all the bosses are located, on the second channel I've got a location of all 40 of them if you need to find them. But it's coming together, man. Don't you see? Yeah, Jonesy's got a really weird storyline if you go to him and talk to him. The loop. Don't you see it? We're all in one big loop. This is what he's saying. I'll break it down in a second. He's saying like we're all in one big loop, right? And there's a bunch of options you can talk to him here. We'll try and get all the different stuff out of him. Is that sarcasm? I am not good at sarcasm. Do you believe me or not? I think you've lost your mind. I don't want to say that. Sure, let's believe him. Wait a minute. You're not one of them, are you? Who's one of them? I'm guessing one of them possibly means the people who are controlling us, the IOs. I know a secret about the loop. A secret so big that 9 of the 10 Jonesies want to keep it under wraps. Hold on a minute. 9 out of 10 Jonesies? So talking of the snapshot thing, we saw that in the trailer for the start of Season 5, and basically we know that Jonesy takes a snapshot of himself every time he goes into the loop. But if you read the description of Bunker Jonesy, it says reports indicate that this might be a snapshot of one of the very first times Jonesy visited the loop. Being trapped for decades, if not centuries, has left him paranoid and distrustful, so approach with caution. Now we can assume that the storyline for this started in the Season 9 cinematic after the volcano event, which is playing in the background right now, because we see that Jonesy goes into the future, we see that he's been eating Peely for the entire time to survive in the bunker, and actually drew on the wall what he could see with his visions because he's been in there for so long, and being a snapshot of the Jonesy outside of the loop, then we know that he could actually see all of these visions, which he ended up drawing on the wall and going absolutely crazy. And that's why if we visit him now in the Chapter 2 map, he's completely glitched, and for some reason you can actually walk through him and you can't eliminate him. I think he's the only boss which is invincible, so yeah, pretty cool, right? So jumping back to Jonesy's dialogue, we know that he knows this big secret, but it looks like he can't actually tell us. So let's ask, where are the other Jonesies? He says, I'm an original Jonesy. You're going to have to ask one of the later Jonesies. Interesting. We don't know any of the later Jonesies exactly who they are or where they are, but I'm sure we'll discover them. You could ask some more questions. The secret, or what is the 0 point? Let's ask him what the 0 point is. Oh, I know that one. My job was to jump into the 0 point and see what happened. Okay, we know that happened. We saw that in the trailer, but obviously it looks like this Jonesy's done that in the past. I think I'm still seeing what happened. Oh, what happened, Jonesy? Oh, I don't know. Let's just ask him what the secret is. There's a way out of the loop? What? So if there's a way out of the loop, what's outside the loop? You won't understand if I explain it because I don't understand it, and I'll be doing the explaining. Okay, that doesn't really make too much sense, Jonesy. Can I escape? That's too dangerous to even ask. I'll pretend I didn't hear that. That's interesting, but seriously, can I? I'll also pretend not to hear follow-up questions. It's for your own good. Really, Jonesy? That's really strange, because if you think about it, even the visitor back in the tapes, that this was very risky. So it's interesting to see that Jonesy is saying this as well. The loop, don't you see it? We're all in a loop. I know, Jonesy, it's a loop. You, me, time, space, it's all loops. I get it, it's loops, sure. Wait a minute. You're not one of them, and he just kind of keeps repeating himself, and you can go through his dialogue. Some pretty strange stuff coming in from Jonesy there. However, Fort Tory has managed to leak the reboot quest's Bunker Jonesy storyline. So let's jump into this a little bit further. You can see the vans, the bunkers, the elevators, it's all tied together. It must be. You see? Where do they come from? How? Interesting to see him asking that about the vans. Maybe he's going to use them for his plan. I still think those vans could be our way out of the loop. Who owns the vans? IO? Ghost? Maybe Bigfoot? They've got us trapped. That's crazy, because who owns the vans? It's a great question. IO? Maybe. Ghosts? Possibly. Maybe even Bigfoot. I doubt Bigfoot would, though. It's a bit of a strange one for him to say that. He says, keep it quiet, but I don't think the Midas that returned was the same Midas. Not sure who makes those reboot cards, but I don't trust whoever it is. That's an interesting thing to say. Midas that returned. Well, Midas got eaten by the shark. We know that the Midas that returned was the Shadow Midas, which we know wasn't the same Midas. I wonder if he's saying something about the Midas event and how that could affect it in the future. Maybe that season 2 event might affect it all. Let's keep reading and find out. I can't prove it, but I think Bigfoot is behind the vans. He's part of it. Well, maybe Bigfoot isn't, but they definitely are. So basically, he's just joking around with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's actually the hardest boss to find. He spawns in a random location almost every time. You need to find him. Go and talk to Jonesy and he'll locate Bigfoot for you if you're struggling to find him. Side topic there, if you're interested, check the second channel again on all the boss locations. Not escaping this time, but soon. Interesting. The storm hasn't reset yet. There's still time to try and escape the loop. This is the most important line in this dialogue. The storm hasn't reset yet. There's still time to escape the loop, or try at least. Now, I think that's really important, because if you look back at season 2, it looks like Midas's job, which he attempted to do to break the 0 point using the storm and even defeat the storm, it looks like it hasn't fully reset since that. So maybe there's a gap in the system to break outside of the loop and escape. I don't know. And it's interesting to see that Jonesy So it's interesting to see that Jonesy now wants to break outside of the loop and doesn't want to be part of the loop anymore. I find this really interesting and definitely something that we possibly could see in the future. So yeah, all the bases around the map are obviously related to IO and all that sort of stuff, all the underground rooms and stuff. And there's actually one of them rooms which has got some really strange audio. I'll play it for 10 seconds quickly. I put it in one of my most recent videos, but check out the audio again. It sounds like you can hear like the old Jonesy still back at his base on his phone. Just listen to it. So yeah, that was quite interesting in that. But with the storm and stuff, I generally do think that'll be part of the event. Maybe there's going to be a gap in it that we can actually find the bridge and escape in, I don't know, maybe the nexus, maybe the bridge is inside the nexus like I mentioned. It looks like there might be a gap in here where we can find the bridge between the loop and the real world or the outside world or whatever it is. We don't know exactly where Jonesy came from. So really interesting stuff. And we also have another quest line that Fort Tory's leaked here. So these bunch of quests look like they're individual lines from different bosses all over the map. We'll go over them though and kind of break them down. These quests seem like a good way to get to know the island. This place is always changing, so unstable. Cool quote, pretty much says what it is in the quote, so not much really to explain on that. The next one is, do you get the feeling that these quest givers are hiding something? If nothing else, I think they're starting to trust us. Now this is quite an interesting line overall. They're kind of talking about like, maybe this is something from Jonesy or Lexa or someone on the map, and they're basically hinting towards that maybe people are starting to trust us on the island. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe they are hiding something as well. We don't exactly know what they'd be hiding. Next line is, seems like there are always more quests. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I always say interesting, and that one definitely is interesting. I think I saw the Jonesy guy, but not the same one. He seemed off. More of these quests we do, the more I think I'm onto something. That's interesting because it's basically saying the more you do, the more we crack. Are we though? Are we cracking the storyline right here with these things? No, we're only at the start of season 5. We've cracked all the previous stuff, up to right now where we are on this video. We don't know what's next really, but some of these points kind of hint towards it. You seen that 0 point? I think it's the central to whatever's going on. Yeah, that kind of confirms it. That's a pretty good one. If we do enough of these quests, we might get some answers. What if Jones is just trying to keep everyone busy with these quests? That's a good question to ask. Maybe he is, because that's what he wants. He wants people to not get distracted by the 0 point so that we can escape. Well, which Jones are you on about? There's 10 of them, so I don't know. After these quests are done, I want to find Jones. He owes me answers. Which Jones do you want to find? We don't know. You ever notice that some people are around more often than others? Yeah, I guess that's true. Maybe, I don't know, it depends. If you're talking about spawn rates for bosses, yep, some bosses are guaranteed to spawn in the same spot. Some have got like 2 spawns and some have even got 3 spawns. I'm guessing that's what that one is referring to. Have you seen the IO goons around? I don't trust them. Not 100% sure how this loot thing works, but I don't think they're all in it. That's a very interesting one. They don't think that the IOs are part of the loop entirely. That may be correct. Maybe some of the IOs are part of Jonesy's team, or maybe some of the IOs have just been lost and confused in this, or even the Enforcer back from Season 5 could be related to the IOs, like an early version of them. Who knows exactly, but it's a great line. Regardless of how weird this is, at least the loot's good. Some things loop, others don't. Let's just keep experimenting with those quests. I kind of like that. That's a really nice little line. Not really much you can break from it, just basically keep experimenting and see where it's going to take us. How does this world fit together? And those people. You keep tracking all of these people you meet. Wonder what their story is. That's a good one. I don't know. We do track a lot of people. You're talking about the bounties or just in general, like all the people that keep spawning in the Battle Royale. I wonder if it's trying to reveal what that is about. Like, why are we in the Battle Royale? Generally, I don't think the Battle Royale has anything to do with the storyline too much. I feel like it's more of the island that's the storyline rather than the game mode, but maybe that one kind of refers to the game mode a little bit more. Competing quests to cause chaos. Got a nice ring to it. That Jonesy said he just wanted us to cause chaos. I guess this counts. Yeah, that's a really good line. It's probably the most important one out of all these. Basically telling us that Jonesy wants to cause chaos, maybe to stop the 0 point and contain it himself, like maybe the Bunker Jonesy wants to break out, or this could be from the most recent snapshot of Jonesy which has come through, which is the one we saw in the trailer, causing chaos to get people's attention away from the 0 point. But from all of these, it looks like a lot of people are interested in the 0 point, and I personally am, and the season is called 0 point, so there's going to be a lot of information about the 0 point in today's season. Crazy, crazy stuff, and lots of news, but that's everything I've got right up until today. We are on the Season 5 storyline right now, and that's every piece of information. So wow, that's been insane. I'd say this video probably started around the Season 9 era, Neo's theme with the Bunker Jonesy, all the way to today, which is Season 5. That's where this storyline video sits, if you're wondering. Anything before that, I haven't really covered in today's video, because most of the stuff before that kind of built up to where we are today. Like, it was all like a lead up to this. So yeah, I think that's kind of nice, and I think it's a really interesting story. If you made it right to the very end, comment down below JJ, which stands for John Jones, and that'll let me know if you've made it right to the very end. Honestly, that'll mean so much to me if you happen to make it right to the end. Congratulations if you did. It's such a long video to sit through. I know myself, when making this, it took several days, several hours, ridiculous amount of time, so much research, and I've really enjoyed it. So I'll keep you updated as the storyline does develop through Chapter 2, Season 5. Very, very interesting stuff, and the storyline has hit overdrive peak. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Smash a like, smash a comment, and also subscribe if you're new. And once again, if you want to support me further, code PostboxPat in the item shop. And this is Postbox Pat, signing out.